Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome. It seems like only a minute ago we were all with you, but we are back with the Live Lounge. Plenty to catch up on. It's been a while since we've done this because of the Premier League, straight into the Super Series, but we are back. I'm Phill, joined by Jarleth and Jack Gobby Garwood. Gentlemen, good evening.
Did you really just have the cheek to say we were with you after you disappeared for football training, Philip?
Well, you know. to be fair, we sat here and my legs are saying, "You idiot! You should have stayed on the stream."
Well, of course you should have done. But yes, very warm welcome again, everybody. Lovely to be back with you. It's only, we've been here since Barzi's been here since 10:45 this morning. I've been here since just gone 12 o'clock. And it's great to be back with you because what we do need now is another 2 hours of us chatting nonsense after we've done 7 on the Super Stream. So lovely to do.
But believe me, it is going to be absolute nonsense as well.
Jonathan says already in the chat room. Here we go for 2 hours to qualify for the Premier League. Look, can we just make a blanket ban on this tonight? We can talk about the Premier League, about what has happened. But we are not talking about who should be in the Premier League. No questions on that tonight. No
Too
questions.
late. You two have already set that up.
I can't promise anything about that.
Well, yeah.
Interestingly enough, though, have you seen? I'm just scrolling the wrong way now. Jonathan's earlier comments about what Mr. Edgar was saying on his stream earlier today, boys.
Yeah, we'll touch on that shortly. Obviously. I'm in quite a few good circles, and I've seen some emails. Perhaps I shouldn't, and everything. So we can touch on that in a bit. I'm not going to reveal something.
Never reveal that. Never reveal that.
Oh, to be fair, they all know anyway.
There are people everywhere. Yeah,
they all know anyway. They all
now you've admitted it.
Yeah, but try find out which one.
Play the game.
I've seen.
Yeah,
fingers in all pies. Fingers in all pies. Anyway, we're going to share some links around. On social media. So make sure you give us a like and a retweet or a share on social media, and of course, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I know you've all been absolute troopers for us over the last few days or so. We'll come to the chat room. All in nice and early as always. Jonathan is in. Daniel, Missy is in. Kieran, Dan, Jonathan, James.
Left, has she?
Don't think so. Tommy, Andrew's in as well. Justin, Owen, Elemental Joker. How are we all doing? Very sore, Jonathan. Yeah, walking could be an issue in the morning. Not going to lie. But we are here.
I didn't realise it was that kind of night.
It's all good. Evening, Lewis. Hope everyone is well. So we've just seen 4 days of great darts. I'm not going to lie. I was slightly apprehensive what this was going to be like, being the amount of call-ups because people pulling out. But it actually surprised me. It was actually a decent 4 days, guys.
It was, but I'm going to suffix that perhaps with the big guys turned up over the 4 days. The ones that were there that you expect to turn up and do bits that were left in the field did bits. There was a couple of good runs over the 4 days, a couple of people that got results that perhaps didn't quite match the performances in both directions, as you always get in all sport. But in the main, the big names got the job done.
Yeah,
For winners, let's be honest, we're all in the conversation to be in the Premier League.
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree.
I think what's also quite nice though is the fact that because of the call-ups as well this week, we had some great storylines, but also the fact that we had Ross Smith making his first final. We had Martijn Kleermaker as well. Dirk, and we'll go through the winners in a bit as well. But who did Jose play on the first day? I can't remember now. That feels that long ago.
Luke Humphries.
Who did Jose play?
Luke Humphries.
Yeah, that's his first floor final as well.
UK Open final. It's like the guys that have gone deep and made the finals aren't really a surprise. Clearmack has been an exceptional operator for the last year or so, putting some very good results on the Pro Tour. Ross Smith was threatening a run for the last 18 months. He's one that has just steadily built his game up and up and up, and probably should have done more at a couple of the Minehead events. Other than that, Jose's superb. Luke, UK Open finalist. Bully Boy, we all know what he's capable of. Van Duijvenbode after that run last year at the match play. Grand Prix. And then Dimmy and Dirk again today. It's been class.
And don't forget the big Dutch, or as we call him now, the serial killer.
Yeah, that's going to stick. That's going to absolute stick.
Well, we can't just call him the Big Dutchman because there's plenty of them. Kleermaker, Van der Voort, Van Duijvenbode, Barney. They're not short people, are the Dutch.
No.
So instead of the Big Dutchman, we'll call him the Big Serial Killer.
To be fair, I mean, even MVG ain't a short so and so, is he? I wouldn't even class MVG as short. So,
no.
Look, do you know what I would
smaller
say
than us, Joe. That's enough.
What's that?
He's smaller than us.
Well, all I'll say is
no, he's not. He's taller than me, but I'm a short ass.
I meant me and John. You weren't included in the us. Me and John are over 6 foot.
I was going to say I'm a short ass.
What I was going to say though, boys, was the fact it's not just the match play race that everybody knows about. It's also the Grand Prix race that has changed dramatically. We thought that players might just about be there, but they're not now. And there are aspects of the Grand Prix race that are really, really intriguing. You think about this: if Gurney had won one more game today, he would have been ahead of. I mean, he just about kept ahead of Whitlock because Whitlock went to the quarterfinals, but Gurney was 250 quid away from being a seed again in the race for the Grand Prix. It's things like that where you look at it and go, man. And then obviously we'll touch on it a little bit later. That race to the match play, we think there's only going to be 4 events left before we qualify, before the qualification process for the match play ends. So
that was the point I was making about the first comment that Jonathan was saying, that Mr. Edgar had said differently. He reckons there's going to be 2 blocks of Pro Tours before Blackpool and could be a Euro Tour and Pro Tour back-to-back in either May or June in an isolated location, hinting at Gibraltar or Iceland.
May is out of the question. May's not going to happen.
May's out of the question.
May is
June.
Well,
June. I've been told from a very good place there'll be 1 block in June before the match play.
And that's the thing. There's only 1 more event. Then that is it. Then they are in trouble. Then those players. Then that race for the match play is going to be very, very intriguing. I'm interested to see what happens. Definitely.
The other thing with the Euro Tours at the moment is there's been no qualification for one. So how do you get people to qualify for it?
Well, this is what aren't they doing that? That's what they're having a Pro Tour back to back, isn't it? They're having a Pro Tour, then a Euro Tour, then another Pro Tour, so they can have a EC qualifiers and try and get.
But what I'm saying is at the moment you need a block, you need to have a qualifier. So we need to have something to have that qualifier first of all.
So then you look at the Grand Prix race because there'll be 16. Sorry, Rob, I've just got a real itchy nose and I apologise. So we've got 16 games. We've got 16 Pro Tours that have happened for the Grand Prix, right? From there, before the match play. From there, what do we reckon? 8, 10 before the Grand Prix, and then maybe having 4 at the back end of the year to sort out the Players' Championships and Worlds?
Look, I think if normality returns, like we're hoping and being told, there is going to be a lot of televised darts on, along with maybe 6 Euro Tours. fitting players' championships in could be difficult, or a lot of them. There might be.
They go back to weekends then, don't they?
But aren't they going to be full with devs and challenge tours?
They can take place same arenas. Ish. I suppose they're relying on infrastructure. To be fair, the conversations we've had with Matt and Barry before is them pushing for this to be a full-time professional sport. If that means the Pro Tour goes midweek and the Challenge and the Dev Tours get those weekend spots, so be it.
Oh, yeah, that I'm not arguing. I just think that with the TV tournaments coming at the back end of the year, especially with the World Cup being moved, it could be difficult to fit a lot of Pro Tours in.
Well, you think then, right? I'm just looking at the tournament list now, just getting the tournament calendar up, just to see if we've missed anything from the PDC point of view. I don't think we have. So we get then the World Cup is on the 9th to 10th of September. We know that for a fact. We've then got the Nordic Darts Masters the week after that. So I'd imagine you're going to get a Pro Tour you're going to get a Euro Tour either side of that. Would we agree? Probably get a Euro Tour either side of that. Then we go to Dublin for the Grand Prix, supposedly. I don't think we will, but we've got the Grand Prix there. So we could potentially have another couple of Pro Tours before then, like we used to do at the City West. Have those Pro Tours, but they don't count towards the overall ranking for the Grand Prix. Then off the back of that, we've got the World Series of Darts finals. Then we've got the Euros. Then we've got the European Championships to fit in. We've got the Grand Slam to fit in. And we've got the Players' Championship finals on the 26th to 28th of November. So you've got the World Series of Darts finals on the 29th to the 31st of October. The following weekend will be the European Championship. And then the week after that's the Slam. The Pro Tours have to be done by the middle of October. It's a fact.
Depends how many they're going to have. I know they push for 30.
They're going to try and get 30, aren't they?
How many did we have last year?
Surely they have to.
23, I think.
I don't know. But last year we had the home tour and we also had the player hardship fund as well, which was effectively a loan on future earnings for players that weren't earning as much. If they're not providing that this year, then they surely have to give them at least 30 Pro Tours to be eligible for.
Yeah, Jonathan says there's 5 weekends in August to fill. That's where I think we'll see a lot of Euro Tours. I think we'll see maybe at least 3 Euro Tours in August.
I think we'll get 3 of them, maybe even a Pro Tour as well in the middle of the week. I think as well, because I think we're going to get a Pro. I think we are going to get a Euro Tour on the Bank Holiday weekend for us, which is the last weekend in August, because that then leads into the World Cup.
Yeah.
The World Cup. Can we just talk about the World Cup? Because I love the World Cup.
I don't think the Euros will happen before the World Series. I just don't think they will. I think that because normally that last week in October is when the European Championships happen, and then the World Series happens afterwards. So I think they've just tried to flick it round this year so they can try and get Euro Tours in and try and create a more.
I'll find out tomorrow. I'll ask a man in the know tomorrow. That's very well informed about IT.
I'm about to say, are you talking about the brand new chief chairman of Matchroom? What's it called? Matchroom Multisport.
No, I'll ask Mace.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Let's go watch them. How the hell they do
that? But we'll keep some of this chat towards the end. Obviously, we'll start at the beginning.
Start Pro Tour.
Again, plenty of time. Get your chats and questions into the chat room. We will come to it. You guys have always been absolutely superb, so we're not going to start neglecting that one now. But like Gob said, this one seems a long, long time ago. The special one, Jose de Sousa went absolutely bananas on Saturday with arguably one of the best spells of darts we've ever seen in that final. Unplayable, a fair word to use.
Yeah, but he did it twice that day as well. The spell in the final was fantastic, but in the quarters he averaged 111 as well, and he was threatening it, I think, at times in the semi as well. He won 7-2 of 103.5 average. It was a ridiculous performance of the entire day from Jose de Sousa. He was dominant from the very, very first start. The most legs he dropped all day was 4 to Max Hopp in his worst performance of the day, and he still averaged 96. The man was very, very good. That opening day probably justified his being there. After we had that debate a lot about the Premier League players actually attending, but he was superb.
You say it justifies him being there. I think that question can only be answered on Tuesday next week.
Yeah.
When we know what a certain test result says. Because no matter what he wins there, if a test comes back positive, nothing can justify going.
I agree.
It's a fair point.
Fair
Thing is, does he need to go? I don't think he can improve. Well, no, to be fair, he potentially could. He could potentially improve his seeding at the match play for this. Because Jose's now number 11. So now. Well, what's that? He'd play Rob Cross, wouldn't he? In number 5, he'd take that.
But he's already jumped above Glenn from this week's work.
Oh. So
he now plays Gary, doesn't he?
No, yes, he does.
So he would have played Rob Cross, and now he plays Gary, and he's got the possibility of moving up to play Michael Smith still as well.
Be interesting. Go on, Joe.
No, I was going to say, Jonathan says, what happens if someone says positive? We think that's them voided, isn't it?
Right, there's no secret about this. It was in the PDC media release to all media. After obviously someone's been eliminated, the 2 that have gone, the ones that come back, if anyone then fails a COVID test, will play no further part, and they will finish 8th on the order of merit, no replacement.
There we go. So that's it.
So yeah, it's in the PDC media release, the same as the protocols for if anyone failed in the first half, like unfortunately Gezi did. It was all taken care of in the release. Everything was covered. Job done. So yeah, if anyone does fail, then that's it. There'll be one less game a night. Someone gets a night off, and they finish 8th and pick up 8th money. So simple as that. Nothing complicated. Day number 2 went to the bully boy, Michael Smith, and again played well en route to get there, Jar.
Yeah, we did. I mean, look, there was no doubt about that. I thought that he was the best player on the day, and he deserved to win the day out. I mean, look, you look at the semi-finals and the way what had happened. You know, you playing Berry Bampier and Aaron Beanie, and we know what he said in the in the interview afterwards. But you still got to go and do the job. Now, do I think that winning a Pro Tour means that he should be in the Premier League? Absolutely not. Do I even think that him averaging 114.5 gave him justification for what he said in his interview? Absolutely not. But the man has now won 3 of the last 10 or 11 Pro Tour titles. He's not done too badly. The big question still will always be, though, can he bloody do it on the stage? Appreciate the young of him, but he did well on the day. Full credit to him. But look, I haven't got a problem with players saying stuff if you can back it up and you have the memorabilia and the CV to show for it. What I fear Bully's just done with that interview on Sunday is that you saw it on socials today with what happened when he lost to Robert Thornton, which I'm sure we'll come on to in a minute, that you make a rod for your own back. And you just fear that if he doesn't get over the line in a major, let's just say if he doesn't for now, then it's interviews like that people will just point to and go, that's why. Things like that. You have this obsession of trying to win the big one on the telly box in your head. You've got to try and somehow let it go. Somehow. And that's why interviews like that don't help his cause, because we know Bully is one of the best people to meet off the hockey. He's one of the funniest people in the game. But interviews like that don't endear him to a darts fan. I just worry that what he's done is he's just backfired on him. The
Premier League comments, I agree with you. Name dropping Beanie perhaps wasn't the best move, but I'm 100% with Bully Boy. If you offer me a player who's played 11 games this week at the Super Series, has averaged over 90 once and over 85 4 times, as a former Premier League player and a player of Michael Smith's calibre, I will bite your hand off for that draw in a semi-final of a Pro Tour.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, no,
but you
all right, name dropping him probably wasn't the smartest move. It doesn't endear you to some people. It makes you come across a little bit arrogant, but at the same time, jeez. And that's the complete, we're sat here praising just how good these 4 days have been. I'm not telling you that someone's played 11 games this week and won, they lost 4, so they've won 7 games. And they've got above 85 4 times. And you can only beat what's in front of you. 100% agree with that, etc. That's sport. That's the way it goes. But that has a big, big bearing on tour cards come the end of the season. If that sneaks you in the Players' Championship finals and by virtue of that into the World Championships, fair play for taking that moment, but you'd barely win a game on a Challenge Tour throwing that. You'd struggle to win a Dev Tour throwing that.
I didn't have an issue with what he said.
Well, no, you did.
Look, we keep saying this and we keep calling players out for it, but actually it's bloody brilliant for us when players do break the mold of a normal interview and give us these comments so we can sit and talk about it for half an hour or write articles about it or make videos and reaction and get people talking about it. But there's always two sides to the story. There's always two opinions. Name dropping, perhaps not the brightest thing, but actually analysing what that player has done, yeah, you'd bite your hand off for that in a semi-final of a Pro Tour, like I keep saying.
Let's be fair, it's no different to Leicester City. If you'd have offered Leicester City, and again, I mean this with all due respect, if you offered Leicester City Southampton in an FA Cup final at the start of the season, they'd have bit your hand off for that.
Oh, yeah, completely.
Just upset every Saints fan going, and being I live not far from there, but it's the same.
To be fair, you stole Potch off them, so why not?
Well, you know.
We stole everyone else off them, so I
was going to say Liverpool stole everyone, including the two ladies.
It's our B team, mate.
We got Shaw off them, so fair play.
No, but look, I didn't have an issue with it, and I may have had a cheeky bet on Bully Boy to win the match play today.
That's just silly, isn't it? Well, how much have you bet?
I know, not much. I only had a cheeky 20 on it.
Oh, what? And what's the odds?
Here's a lesson for people that do not understand betting.
Hang on. What's the odds?
25 to 1, I think it was.
Okay, so you bet £20 at 25 to 1. God, what does that mean?
Let me check. Let me check my account.
What happens
if you bet £20 on Michael Smith to win the match play at 25 to 1? It means you lose £20, Phil.
Yes, correct answer.
All I'm saying is, boys, do you remember that Premier League bet I showed you last year? When that was placed, you wouldn't have said that either.
Well, Durrant was.
If I could see that.
Fine. Durrant was playing all right stuff at the time. He just made a World's quarter final, made 3 semi-finals. It wasn't an absolute ridiculous notion to suggest that he win the Premier League. Smith, Bully Boy at the moment, hasn't performed has not in finals, has never got the job done. Yeah, people are also saying that means you lose 20 quid.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Jonathan, bookies always win. Oi, Jonathan, you will never ever meet a poor bookie. I'm telling you.
Correct. Correct.
No, because if they're in any danger, then corruption happens. Because I'm telling you, Cheltenham was it 5-6 years ago. If Annie Power wins was it the Mares she was in on day one? Yeah. If they win that, then there's a lot of skint bookies.
50 million quid that saved.
Because everyone was on the Mullins and Walsh fourfold on day one of Cheltenham, and Annie Power fell. Shock. Anyway, moving on.
Nothing to see here.
Moving on.
Day 3.
Day number 3.
His first PDC title. The Aubergenius Dirk van Duijvenbode over the line and now has a PDC title to his name and to back up the performances we saw from him in the back end of last year, Gob.
Yeah, look, he is probably... You sit here and talk to any darts fan and you say who will be the next first-time tournament winner in the PDC and under any guise, and his name would have been right up there with everybody else, whether that be a Pro Tour, whether that be a TV title or somebody that doesn't have one. The performances he put in last year, the extra gear the man has. He has played badly over some of the last 4 days. He played badly over today and still made the final. Spoiler alert. We'll talk about that one in a second. But he just has this extra level where he can run off the 3 or 4 legs that he needs in a row where he is unplayable. Like Jose was for that entire final and the quarterfinal before that on Monday. Dirk has that level for a few legs and it can turn a match on its head for him. His B game needs some work. But
yeah,
look, for a lad that never won a development tour, played on the dev tour in a solid era, lost his card, come back again, the development in the last 18 months has been nothing short of exceptional. One of the biggest step-ups in darts we've possibly ever seen from where he was to where he is now.
You say that.
Ridiculous.
Though, right? And I appreciate that we talk about the 90 averages. We laugh at it now in a way because of the ridiculous averages that we see. But he only averaged over 100 once in that game on that day to winning his title. I didn't think there was nothing spectacular. It was always solid. So I don't know whether the B game needs some work potentially on the telly, but he is, like you say, since reaching that Euro Tour semi-final, he's also made a floor final at the start of 2020. Since then, he's just gone like an absolute man possessed. Now, I'm not being funny, and I mean this in the nicest possible way to Chiz. But you know, if in the Grand Prix, Chizzy had 2 match darts to beat Gezi Price, right? If you got Chisnell against Van Duijvenbode for a potential showdown in the Premier League at that point, with the way that Dirk was playing, I would have thought Dirk was going to go and win that game. I'll be honest with you.
Thought Dirk was going to win the final regardless.
Who?
I thought Dirk was going to win regardless. He'd had a ridiculous week. It just felt like one of those moments where if your name's on the trophy, your name's on the trophy, irrespective of the fact that he played Gezi in the final.
So what I'm saying is, Dirk was 1 game away from the Prem. Even with the final, even if we take away, obviously, if he'd won, then he would have been in the Premier League. It was 1 leg. I think that if he'd have won that quarter-final against Gary Anderson, I reckon he's in. I reckon he got that. World semi-final would have got that. So he's there or thereabouts. He's knocking on the door. And I'll tell you something, for all the Dutch fans in particular in our chat room, which there are quite a few, watch out for next year. If he continues the way that he's going, I think that chainsaw could be in Rotterdam. Now, I think that chainsaw could be going to Rotterdam because with that win and that way that he's done things today, He has more than qualified for the match play. He's added 16 grand onto his ranking today, and he's put himself now well inside. He is going to Blackpool.
I tell you what, we
this will
talk about
be the next thing for me. Can he handle the second phase? I think, Bars, you're about to bring up the same thing I am in the comparison that's been made in the chat room of Jeffrey Desvon. How he had this massive hot patch and dropped off.
I think there's a bigger comparison to make with him. Nathan Aspinall.
Yeah, because Desvon had that great year. In 18. He didn't really back it up in 19. Dirk's had a really good 20, and he's now looking for a really good 21.
Well, it's not even a good 20, was it? It was a good event that launched Dirk off the platform. We'd seen bits and pieces from him after he picked up his tour card in Pro Tours and Euro Tours. But until he made that final in the Grand Prix, that sort of gave him the springboard to go and do everything else that he did by being entered into every event. Because when you make final of the Grand Prix, that's significant money. That means you're going to be an automatic qualifier for a lot of the events, if you get what I mean. I think the Aspinall comparison is very good.
Yeah,
but hang on a second. It's like he had made the 5th round of the UK Open as well. He only just lost to Sulovic when he made it, like you say, when he made those semi-finals as well. Just looking, what did he do at the? He also made the quarterfinals of the Players. I mean, yeah, fair enough. It was maybe after the Grand Prix, but he looked like he was in. He looked like it was a really solid year for him. I mean, he's now what, world number 24? Not bad.
Yeah, I'm not denying the year was solid for him, but Aspinall's year was solid after a world semi-final and a UK Open. Do you know what I mean? It was that first big run that sort of gave him that springboard. I think that's where the comparison is coming from, because without that world semi-final out of absolutely nowhere, Nathan Aspinall doesn't even have a tour card. Or he's very, very close to losing it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Dirk regained his tour card, got into the Grand Prix, and used it as an absolute springboard that has put him, like you say, world number 23, knocking on the door of the Premier League, and has just picked up a Pro Tour title. If you'd have told Dirk van Duijvenbode he was doing that 18 months ago, he'd have laughed in your face.
He almost did, to be fair. I said that you were looking really well. I remember coming out of I came out of the event in Minehead, Gob, and I bumped into him and said, "You're looking really well, mate. You keep this up. You could be well up in your way." He just went, "No chance." I'm not going to try and do the accent, but he was just went, "No chance."
I'm surprised he couldn't hear you. He just walks around with his headphones in there, just blaring the most ridiculous techno music I've ever heard in my life. His entire life just has this epic bass line to it. It feels like he just walks around with this air of just bass.
Yeah, well, he openly says it was the beating Gary Anderson in the Grand Prix that gave him the confidence and the springboard to it. He said that was the result. He said he openly admits he can put his finger on it. That was the result.
But what about the Sulovic game when they were both absolutely hot?
No, he said he got nothing from that. He said he got nothing from it because they both played awful. He said it was beating Gary that gave him the belief.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You look at the amount of players that look up to Gary. Nathan Aspinall is in the Premier League right now, and he's telling you Gary is his favourite ever player, and he looks up to him. He's his idol in the sport. If Dirk holds Gary in anywhere near the same level of admiration, getting over the line against him in a big one, albeit, all right, Gary hasn't been the world champion Gary for 18 months, 2 years now in terms of performances.
With one game away from doing so.
It's still that admiration of beating that name, if you like.
Yeah, 100%. For a couple of people loving it in the chat room. Charlie's in as well. Good evening, Dan. How are we going? Our own Dan Simpson's in. Welcome along, everyone. And then from there, finally, this young man has ticked another box on the way. Dimitri van den Bergh now has a floor title to add to that World Match Play crown. And now, I think there's only 2 people that have ever won TV titles that have not won a floor event. Now Dimitri's off the list.
Ooh.
Is that a test?
Okay. That's a good trivia question.
Define TV title. PDC televised title.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, if not, Scott Mitchell and Scott Waits are well up there on that list as former world champions, as is Danny Noppert.
To be fair, Wayne said it on commentary the other day, and I can't remember who one of them is. I know one of them. I can't remember who the other one was. To be fair.
So who's won a TV title but not a floor event?
Wayne said there was 3, Dimitri and 2 others, and I didn't catch who one of them was.
Kyle.
No, Kyle won a Pro Tour. Kyle won a Pro Tour 3 weeks before he won the Auckland Masters. He beat Kevin Painter in the final. Shocking final. The rest of the tournament, he's brilliant. He had 9 darts that day as well. Stephen Bunting strikes me as one, maybe.
Hang on.
No, he's not won a TV title, is it, PDC?
I don't know.
No, he hasn't.
Do they count Euro Tour? Peterson's won a Euro Tour, but not a...
No, TV as in proper...
He's also won a floor.
Correct. There's one in the chat room.
Oh, Colin Osborne?
No. Larry Butler.
Oh, do me a favour.
First ever match play, champ.
I know, but...
Clemens?
No, Clemens didn't want a TV.
And they made the final, didn't he?
Was it? Was it Painter? No, Painter's won a... Painter?
I don't. That's what I said. I can't remember who the other one was.
What? I think it might be Painter, you know. I'm not sure Painter's won a Pro Tour.
Have a look.
Players' Championship.
You'd be correct. Kevin Painter.
Yeah.
Kevin Painter's never won a PDC Pro Tour event. You were correct there. Well done.
Him and Kyle. Literally, the minute you said Kyle, I should have clicked that it was Painter because they were dueling for their first floor title.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go. There they are. But Dimitri van den Bergh.
Harry Butler and Kevin Painter. Well done, chat room.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Right.
But this young man, again, he was good today. Very good, Jar.
Again. But this is the thing. He won with his B game today. He really did.
He won the latter stages of his B game today.
Early on, there was ton averages.
He had 4 ton plus. He had 4 ton plus averages in a row earlier.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I've only really had a look at it really from the quarterfinals onwards because Barzi, you were covering the boards, but that 108 today against Ryan Searle was class. I'll give him that. The way that he came back against Alan Sousa, because Sousa was ahead of him, he just dispatched Ian White and John Brown with ease. Look, fair enough. I'll give you that. But that game today against Dirk van Duijvenbode was really interesting because very rarely have I seen Dimi win ugly. A proper, scrappy, ugly game of darts. That really was one. That was really a real scrappy game of darts today against Dirk van Duijvenbode. And you know, I'll say this now, and I might look like a muppet. That could be a rivalry that we see in the PDC for many a year. For many a year. Those two have got what it takes to take the sport to the next level. To take the level further from the mantle. They are up there. But that was a really good game of darts between the pair, and I think we're going to be seeing them two scrap it over the major honours as well as the floor honours as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and it's going to be interesting because he's played well across the Super Series as well, and to finally get over the line is a good thing because the myth has always been that Dimitri cannot play on the floor.
But there is that myth
I'm not sure
there.
It's ever a myth. It's ever a myth. He's been very, very disappointing in terms of results on the floor. Sometimes he's put very, very good performances in and lost. Today he's picked up a title. Look, development tour, the kid was king for God knows how long. That's a floor game. He just couldn't do it in an environment in the pro ranks and make that extra step, if you like. He comes alive. He's a completely different animal. Solid start of the day. Don't get me wrong, the game's got a bit scrappy from the quarterfinal onwards, and he got over the line. Opponents' averages are 91, 78, and 92. You'll take that on a run to a Pro Tour final, especially for your first. And it's how he now builds on this, I think, is the key thing.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
Because Dirk's averaged 92 in that final, been absolutely shocking in some legs, and still forced a deciding leg.
Yep. Completely agree with Raven Effect. He said darts need more rivalries, 100%.
Yep.
Rivalries in sport is a great and key thing. Just going back to Corey Cabby never won a TV title. Yeah. Corey Cabby never won a TV title.
Even then.
Waits was a BDO player at the time.
Like Taylor Barney and MVG Lewis. I'm not even sure Taylor Barney was a rivalry.
It was for a year.
Barney won the world. Barney won the Worlds and the UK Open, and apart from that, Taylor's record absolutely trashed it. The only people that thought that was a rivalry was the broadcaster.
Yeah, but that's what made it into it, because they could tell the story behind it. Whenever you mention Taylor Barney, regardless of whether Taylor was smashing him up or not, it got people talking. People watched. It was built up.
I'll say this. Taylor Lewis was more of a rivalry than Taylor versus Barney. 100%.
Taylor Lewis wasn't a rivalry. They practiced together. Taylor basically taught him everything he knew. It wasn't a rivalry, mate. One of the greatest games that ever played. They walked off the stage laughing and joking with each other. That's not a rivalry. I want to see them fuming at each other, wanting to lump it out of each other. No.
For that game, you go and watch them at the match play, and you tell me if that ain't a rivalry. You go and tell me that.
There's desire to beat each other, yeah, but I don't know.
For 2 years, the best and most proper rivalry we've had in a long time was Lewis Price.
That was
the best need.
Yeah.
That was when Price was a newbie and Lewis was dropping off. Can't practice crapping yourself, as Lewis famously proclaimed after his 92 average victory the following year. I was there for that, as well as he walked into the practice room. It was not a nice atmosphere, I can tell you. The only other one is Gary Price, and Gary just let it go, didn't he? He had the injury, he didn't really care. If Gary was 5-10 years younger, Gary Price would have been a superb rivalry. We tried to force the Gary MVG one, but there's too much respect there, bigging up who's the best player in the world, and neither player was really bloody interested. Peter Wright talks a good game, but they're not 1 and 2 at the minute, so there's no need to try and push that up.
The only thing we
Darts is too nice. Darts is way too nice.
The only thing that we're worried about, the only thing that I think we were robbed of prime Taylor versus prime MVG. You know, because I always say that prime Taylor, yeah, we know what he did at the World Championships in terms of what he did between the first years of the PDC, but apart from the odd bit with Part and Painter and all that sort of stuff, he really had no competition. Lloydie maybe for a bit. You look at Part maybe for a couple of years. Not much competition. So for me, prime Taylor was probably maybe 2008-9 to about 2013-14, that kind of era, when he won 7 straight world match plays.
Yeah. Do you know when the prime Taylor era ended? When he moved manufacturer and started tinkering about with his setup.
Well, that was maybe, as we were saying, that if prime MVG versus prime Taylor could have kept going until 16-17, and we saw the prime MVG year against the prime Taylor years, that would have been something special.
Well, that's a good one. Taylor Manley, that was a proper rivalry. They hated each other.
That was a very good rivalry. Liked that. One Dart used to take the piss, and I loved it. And yeah, Tommy, you're absolutely
spot on. It was good in terms
mate.
of comments, but in terms of on the hockey, Manley never delivered, did he? Got spanked in 2 World Finals. I'd have got more legs in one of those World Finals.
Right, yeah, but let's be brutally honest. Right, I'm going to flip this into football here because it involves your 2 football teams. Up until the last 5 years, you 2 had a rivalry, but let's be fair, it wasn't because United always kept winning.
Mm.
But it was still classed as a rivalry.
Trophies. Mm.
I'd say this though, right? I could say something stronger about it.
Don't give us that, Barzy, about you had a rivalry, because you and Arsenal will always be rivals, but you lot have won bugger all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I was just pointing you 2 out because you were sat there. There's no Arsenal fan in it, so to do it.
That's
but rivalries aren't
yeah.
always about results.
No, but they certainly help.
Yeah. We're going to move it on, though, quick, because we've got so much more still to
One
talk
side
about.
wanting to beat the other side with lots of desire, and the other side not really caring about them is not a rivalry. Phil Taylor was never, ever worried about Peter Manley.
It's like us with
No, but he used to like winding him up and beating him.
Oh, yeah. Everyone likes winding him up and beating him.
Right. We're going to move it on. There's another point coming out of this Super Series. Like we say, we do have a laugh and a joke here, but this is quite a topical, and maybe this is probably a serious one as well. Raymond van Barneveld now has had health issues in the last 2 blocks of Pro Tour events. Obviously, he collapsed in Milton Keynes, and he had to withdraw after playing yesterday and wasn't able to compete today. We all know he's got diabetes, and these blocks aren't good for players' health, mental health as well, being cooped up. But can his body still handle the tour? Because it's broken down now twice in a row. Can Raymond van Barneveld's body handle this professional tour anymore?
No. Unfortunately,
I'm going to say
the
no.
reality is no.
I
mean, we spoke to him at the media day before he was calling it quits at the World Championships. And he told us things there that meant we fully understood why he was stepping away. And it wasn't just he can't be asked, and it wasn't just can't be bothered to recognise the fans. No matter how much stick we give him for that, he'd been genuinely struggling health-wise to compete for the entire season.
We all know that I like to have a bit of fun and games and all that sort of stuff. We all know I'm the founding member of the Barney fan club. We all know this. But if I can be serious for a second, this is the thing that I worry about with Barney, because, you know, I know we can always say and all that sort of stuff that, you know, and I've always said about it, but he's 54 years of age. You don't need to be putting yourself through all of this throughout the entire time. You don't need to be putting yourself through it at that age. It would not surprise me, and this is not me trying to have a go or anything like that, more for his own health. It would not surprise me if he gave up his tour card at the end of the year and just said, right, I'm going to go and play in the seniors tour. I'm going to go and play with Taylor. I'm going to go and play with all the other legends and go and play there. Because he doesn't have to do as much for it. He would get, and we all know, I know we all talk about, but he'd still get paid a decent wage of cash. He'd be able to have as many sponsors on his shirt as he likes as well. We know that he has to take off about 4 or 5 of them before everything happens, before the games actually happen. I don't see why it wouldn't work for him. I am obviously concerned about him. I'm so concerned about him because we don't want the incident that happened the Friday of the Super Series in Milton Keynes, where Barney collapsed and we were all panicky poo and we thought, oh, something big's going to happen here. So if I was him, I'd be like, right, I'll play for the year, see what happens. At the end of the year, I'm off. I'm going to go and play in the seniors tour, have a bit of fun, go and play back with Taylor, because you don't need to put it back through. You just don't.
Well, this is the thing. I know we have a laugh and a joke on this show, and we've done it, but it's genuinely a concern now that the body has broken down twice, that he was unable to play.
Yeah, and this is where.
Yeah, look,
and this is the thing.
We don't know that it was the same health condition that ruled him out this time as last time, as far as I'm aware. But at the same time, collapsing under any guise is not a good sign. And to be ill again the second time you've attempted to be in the same environment is not a good sign. All right, we might be leaping there, but at the same time, withdrawing on health conditions twice in 2 blocks of 4. Yes, the Pro Tours won't always be in blocks of 4. And this is possibly the first time he's ever experienced that. But if he's going to compete and play in TV majors, he's going to be in this sort of environment. All right, he's not going to be playing possibly 7 matches a day and getting up at whatever time and doing what the players have to do every single day to get themselves ready for a match. It's no secret that some of the players drink a lot of alcohol before they're ready to play a game, but he won't be doing that for 4 days straight. But at the same time, if he wants to... I just don't know what the man has left to prove. And I said this last year, and I said this at the end of Rotterdam. It was absolutely perfect. Rotterdam was perfect. The rest of the year did not really go to plan. Snuck into the Worlds, disappointing there. I just, for the sake of his health, for the sake of the fact that things are opening back up now, and to be fair, darts is pretty much all the man's ever known. For a long, long time. He looks in fantastic shape, by the way, but that can only mean that he's working out and doing more physical things. It's putting more stress on the body. Yes, eating healthy is good, but actually the exercise and that sort of thing at his age, with the diabetes, etc., trying to manage all that on hotel trips and hotel diets and stuff just cannot be easy. And it won't be helping at all. And look, as the economies start opening back up, the World Seniors has just been launched. There will be opportunities for Barney to make money playing darts that does not involve being a tour card holder. And for the sake of his health, I would not be surprised if he does not see out his 2-year tour card.
I agree. And look, people are saying in the chat room, oh, by the way, Duffy's in the chat room, one of our former co-hosts on a previous incarnation of the show. Good evening. Good evening, Michael. How's your head after the last couple of days? Congratulations on being promoted. On a serious note, though, if someone says, well, it's not your call. No, you're right, it ain't. But it's a talking point.
Well, we're not saying it is. We're just putting the point out there that can his body cope?
Yeah. Yeah, and like, we're asking the question, and because it's not, I mean, look, again, we all have a laugh and a joke at my expense on my thought process on this. And like, you know, I remember coming on here going, he's come back in for the money, he's done this and he's done that. But at the same time, if it is health-wise, then I would completely respect and understand why he has to lead the tour. The last thing we want is the bloke dying, for Christ's sake, at the age of 54. You don't want that happening. So just, if it's safer for him, health-wise, to go and play in events on the senior tour, where he will make, I mean, I don't know how much he made from exhibitions, Philip. You were involved in some of them, obviously, when him and Taylor were going to be playing each other. But I suspect it wouldn't be pocket money.
I don't know. I never got involved in what the players were earning and whatever. Mine was just more obviously a media side of it.
Yeah, but I presume it wouldn't be pocket money. Yeah. So off the back of that, let him do, like, of course, let him do what you like, live and let live. But for your own sake, Barney, look at the tour and look at whether it's going to help you or not. Because if it ain't, I'm telling you now, and the chat room would agree with me on this, right? If Barney went and played in that World Seniors Tour, Gob, you don't think that World Seniors Tour will be unbelievable? With that, adding the name of Roman van Barneveld into the World Seniors Tour, and you don't think that makes it a more attractive proposition?
Mate, I saw some of the numbers that the Paddy Power Taylor versus Barney did in a best of 13 legs played from home. You put that in front of arena and fans and put them on stage properly with no storyline to it, it would do bits. And rightly so, because that nostalgia gets the saliva going. That gets people up there and ready for it. It was an absolute classic battle, not the rivalry that some people make it out to be, as we stated a couple of minutes ago. But look, it would just do numbers and bits. And like we said, there are opportunities now that weren't there when Barney opted to go and try and get his tour card back. And I can't. It feels weird sat here now criticising the man for not picking and choosing his events better, when for the last 3 years we've criticised him for not turning up to pro tours and the like, and not honouring what he's told fans and that he's dedicated and wants to qualify for this. And if he's pushing himself to try and qualify for the match play, fair play to the man, because if he does get in the match play, you're close enough, and with a good run at the match play, you're close enough to secured for every TV major for the rest of the year. So if he puts the work in now, he can be far more selective with his schedule in the back end of the year when it does get more hectic. But if the body won't allow it, pick and choose, do a couple of days, put in more work for those couple of days, and then rest up again. Because that's perfectly allowed.
Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah, don't disagree. Just the one before we move on in the chat room, where it said, I'm guessing if we're talking about, Chris is talking about if he played in the World Seniors, it would make it less predictable. Believe me, this World Seniors is not going to be predictable. I know everyone thinks Taylor's going to walk it. However, we will see.
Let's be honest, he's better at darts than he is at pool, which was a brilliant marketing stunt. And he held his own at times, you know. I watched some of the Phill Taylor game last night. The one thing that's doing around is the break that did not go very well. But he played a very, very good tactical frame. Not right. He lost towards the end, potting-wise, against a very, very good pool player that has been around for a long time and played in that environment before. And he held his own in that moment, which was not what we expected. Don't get me wrong, he went off at massively long odds, probably deservedly so, and stayed there. But I just thought it was entertaining to see, and it wasn't just hitting and hoping as some people expected it to be. There was an understanding of the game that I thought was pretty good. It is still like putting me into Augusta and expecting me to go and win the Masters, playing off a 28 handicap, barely at what I do, but you know, it was good nonetheless.
Yeah. Right. We haven't spoken about this because cheers, Duff. Cheers, love. We haven't had time to speak about this. But the Premier League, there has been 2 eliminations, as I got told off because I kept calling it relegation, and Dave told me it's elimination, not relegation. So we had 2 eliminated from the Premier League. Rob Cross and Glenn Durrant went on night number 8. So Judgment Night was rebranded just a boring old Night 9 because it meant nothing.
Well, yes. I remember saying at the start, I remember doing the pod and going, oh yeah, maybe everything will be sorted on night 8, thinking it wouldn't be. And then Gob got to do the day where Rob Cross got eliminated.
You didn't have to pick your days to be off in the two legs we've had so far, the 2 blocks we've had so far. You missed the 9-darter, or one of the 9-darters, and then you missed the relegate, the elimination. Sorry, there we go. I've done it myself as well.
Dave's watching.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
But just looking at that table, obviously we don't have the fixtures for night 10. I'm expecting them this week.
No, they've said they're coming out tomorrow morning. Not
tomorrow morning.
Coming out tomorrow. No, the thing is tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Fixtures out tomorrow. I know the old cliche of the league table doesn't lie, blah de blah de blah. However,
the league table definitely lies.
I was about to say, because in my opinion, over those 9 nights, Rob Cross played better than Gary Anderson for me.
Rob Cross played better than Michael van Gerwen.
Yeah,
I don't disagree in spells.
Van Gerwen had 2 very, very good performances.
Don't talk shit.
He
Cross
did.
had chances.
He had 2 very, very good performances.
No. Okay, so but he got the job done. He beat Peter Wright, who was ill. Fair enough, but he got points. He got points. Rob Cross didn't. You have 9 chances to get points. Rob Cross had chances to get a point against Gary Anderson. He had a chance to get a point against Peter Wright, and he blew both those chances. If he'd have done that, he'd have been up. He'd have been safe. And Gary or Peter would have gone down. There's no pissing about with this. Not in the Premier League. You either get the points. Nah, disagree. He had the chance. He had the chance to beat him, and he lost. How many in a row was it? 1, 2, 3, 4. He took 4 L's in a row, and 2 of them he could have got a point. If he got 2 points, he'd have been up. Simple as. You miss your chance, goodbye. There we go.
I think, personally, in my opinion, Rob played better than Gary across those 9 nights. And, arguably, Peter.
Snakey, I don't think has had a really good Premier League. I don't think he has. I don't think he's had a good Premier League.
No, look, 2 nights he was ill. I can forgive anyone for that. And when you're living in those environments, it's tough. But I think Rob's slightly fortunate, personally. I thought there was good signs for the Rob Cross game from where we'd seen it last year to the 9 appearances we saw in this year's Premier League. I think he can take a lot from it.
Yeah, look,
I agree. Look, his performances this year were much, much better than last year when he got relegated and eliminated at the same stage. There were just the odd 1 or 2 moments this time that have cost him points. Like, there's a genuine case that his level of performance across the entire tournament as a whole has been better than 2, maybe 3 players that are still in this competition. In the key moments that have won him points, yes, he struggled, he's faltered, but the man's barely won on TV in the last 18 months since he won that European Championship. That's a habit. You have to get over those moments. We've seen brilliant performances from Rob Cross on the Pro Tour over the last couple of years, but we've also seen him falter in the big key moments when it gets to a decided leg and it just breaks down a little because he's not used to it. He's under pressure. Like Rob Cross on his ascension to world champion, it was just on an absolute high where just kept winning. People were scared of him. Oh my God, who's this new guy? But at the same time, it wasn't for his dinner, if that makes sense. Now, every time Rob Cross throws a dart, it's to continue a lifestyle that he's been afforded over the last 2 years because of his performances. Some people just aren't cut out for that mentality. We've seen it in other sports. We've seen unbelievable golfers, for instance, go and join the Euro Pro Tour or the European Tour or the PGA Tour that were fantastic at college or fantastic elsewhere. They've still got the game when you play them anywhere else. You put them in a tournament where you're putting for money, effectively. You're putting for your dinner. You're putting to make sure that you've made money that weekend after you've taken out your hotels, your flights, accommodation, food and drink, and they crumble. And Rob Cross is just still not used to getting over the line for his dinner, is the best way to put it, in my opinion.
Well, as I said before, he made the World Series darts finals, but let's be honest, that ain't a competition. Look, I always say when it comes to this, right? You are what your record is. Rob Cross got 4 L's in a row. He took 4 L's. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. 2 of them, he should have got a point. He had darts to get a point against both Gary and Snakey. It meant that he would have stayed up. You don't take your chances in the Premier League. That's it. You're gone. And yeah, okay. He played better than he has done, but I just don't have any sympathy for players. If you don't do well in the Premier League, if you don't do well, and you're like saying, "Oh well, this could have happened. This could happen." Yeah. Well, if my mum had balls, she would be dad, but she isn't. Simple as.
To be fair, I refer to my answer that I put in WhatsApp to that question.
Maybe she did.
Not in Thailand.
Not in Thailand. Someone said about he got to the World Series Darts final. He did. However, I'm just looking at what he did to get there. He had one good game where he beat Michael Smith. The other one, he beat Steve Beaton, who was averaging 75, and he beat James Wade, who was averaging 87. However, moving on, we have 8 players left in the Prem. Obviously, we don't know the fixtures, and that has a bearing on
it does.
Where you get points, because you'd rather have points on the board than have to chase towards the end. However, if you were calling it right now, gentlemen, who finishes top of the pile?
Dimitri van Bergh. Yeah. Yeah. Dimi looks
interesting.
Yeah, I'll save my comment. I'll save my comment until we come on to a little bit later and talk about a little bit more in detail. But Dimi will finish top for me. He just looks.
I just don't
good.
see him dropping 2 or 3 levels that he needs to not finish up there. I think Aspinall is renowned for being a bit of a scrapper and will get embroiled in a couple of games. That seems to be our favourite word at the minute, embroiled. By Jar's logic, if you are your results, Van Gerwen will be very, very lucky to make the top 4 from there. Excellent point base, has picked up results when he needs it, but the performances this week are a major, major issue. Because they're the same darts. They're basically replicas of Old Faithful, aren't they? And let's be fair, the results this week were shocking.
But
yeah, I'm going
to caveat that by
4 games all weekend, and 2 of them were Gary Blades.
I'm going to caveat this though, Gob, and say this: there is a big difference for the last week of the Premier League. We know what that big difference will be. Sooner rather than later, fans will be going to all 5 nights of those last 5 nights of the Premier League. That could be a big factor for Michael Van Gerwen.
It could, but at the same time, that will benefit Nathan Aspinall. Dimitri loves a stage. We've seen good performances. We've never seen him win in front of a big crowd, but we've seen good performances. We've seen him play in front of 20,000 in Germany, and he played down under in Australia in that world. I can't remember what they called that event, Phill, but didn't he finish 120 ball to beat Phill Taylor in front of about 6,500 in Australia?
Yeah,
that was televised with Mark Bosnich commentating.
Yeah, it was.
And I get
like
as an exhibition, there's a little less pressure on it, but
yeah.
But I think he'll be okay in front of that sort of crowd. Wadey will be fine either way. Clayton could affect him. Jose could affect him. Peter Wright and Gary Anderson, that should give them the kick up the backside. Van Gerwen is not the only one that will benefit from a crowd being back at all.
Well, are we doing top 4s now? By the way, cheers, Daniel, for watching, mate. Take care of yourself.
No.
Are we doing top 4s now? Are we doing top 4s or not?
Yeah, no, look, we don't know the fixtures, so it could change because of people's runs and things like that. But if you were calling it right now, we don't know the fixtures. Who finishes in top 4 and in what order?
You want to go first, Gob, or do you want me to go? I don't mind.
Go on, you go. Because mine's changed since we did the pod now, and people are just going to call me out for it.
Dimmy top, Asp second, Clayton third, Wade fourth. I can't see how Nathan Aspinall and Dimmy van den Bergh do not pick up at least 6 points. Unless they start the next three nights on May the 5th, 6th, and 7th and take L's all 3 nights. If they do, then they're right back in the pack. But if they get 3, maybe even 4 points, if they get 4, maybe even 3 points, I reckon they're pretty much done and dusted.
Dimmy 1, Jose 2, Asp
Really?
3, Wade 4. Yeah, mate.
Jose's got a lot of work to do.
I'll back him. Look, the man's playing ridiculous starts. His scoring is fantastic.
I don't disagree.
And
I don't disagree.
now that we're playing an extra leg or 2.
Yeah.
However, it works out best of 16 now, and instead of best of 14, that extra scoring power, when it gets a little bit tight, when it gets a little bit scrappy, is just going to help him out.
I'm going 4th place. Jose de Sousa. Third place. Nathan Aspinall. Second place. Dimitri van den Bergh, and MVG tops it.
Oh, come on, Barzy.
Philip, how in the name of all that is holy, you talk about calling it now? How in the name of all that is holy can you say that MVG is going to finish top?
Because I'm privy to some information that you guys aren't, which I can't say.
Okay. Right.
I'm not bothered about your information. He's just not playing well enough.
He needs to.
He's just not. And I don't care what equipment might change or what change, and when the fans are back in, there's just too big a gap between his top game and the game that he's producing on alternative nights.
Yeah, Owen, sorry, mate. It is best of 14, so you can draw 7-7. Sorry. That is... look, I know how much you talk about and all that sort of stuff, but Van Gerwen has got to get off to a hot start. He's got to start off by winning all 3 games if he's going to finish top.
If the fixtures go, look, we don't know. Say he beats Aspinall and Dimitri in night 1 and night 2.
Yeah, okay, fine. But say, for instance, if he loses to them 2, which is entirely plausible with the way that he's playing.
It's plausible. I'm not saying it's not plausible. However, I think he does it.
Okay.
No, not this time.
All right. Look, the reason why I'm not putting him in the top 4 is at the moment, I just don't think he's just that inconsistent. He's like a roller coaster ride at Blackpool. He's like the big one. Up, down, up, down. He's like the Grand National ride at Pleasure Beach.
Yeah, but at least on that, you can see what's coming. You just have no idea what he's going to produce. He's just not going berserk enough. He was cheering and roaring whilst averaging 95. No, thank you.
Oh yeah, more of that.
All I'll say is
more of that. Yes, entertaining, brilliant. Doesn't get the same abuse that Gerwyn Price would if he was doing exactly the same. But at the same time, that's a fragile man.
Jonathan asks, who was least likely to make the top 4? Gando.
Gando.
I mean, not even. Yeah, Gando, not even a debate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we can all agree on. We all agree on something for once. How about
that?
Boise says, Phill, I think you need me to tip the other 9 players to finish top for your predictions. There's only 7 left in Boise. But if you want to tip the other 9 just to make sure.
Tip MVG to finish top, Boise, and it won't happen.
Oh, Boise, yeah. Just tip them all.
Barneveld, I just don't get how you can back a man that's, what is he? 7th in the average for the tournament and 6th in the finishing stats. That's not top of the table form.
We'll see.
He literally has to find 4 points on his average. Probably 10% on his doubles as well at the minute.
If he finds the blistering A game that we've seen against Vandenberg and Aspinall, it becomes interesting.
If Gary finds his A game, it becomes interesting, mate. But it's like Atlantis. You won't find him that.
But we've seen MVG's A game recently, is the thing. We've seen it there.
Yeah, but what happened?
We've seen Gary play at a more consistent level.
Phill, what has happened the next night after he's hit a ridiculous average?
Oh, he's not playing well, I agree. However, if he backs it up...
Beating Dimmy and Aspinall means absolutely nothing if he goes and jobs it to Peter Wright and Gary Anderson whilst they average 96 against him.
Correct. Absolutely right.
We'll see.
Look, the next 3 nights are so important because that sets you up for the rest of the Premier League season. If MVG goes and blitzes it and gets 6 points, then I'm with you. Fair enough. It will probably go back to the top of the table. But I just can't see what's happening at the moment.
We will see. It's that time, though. We all know what it is now. Question time. Chat room is open.
It's
Get them in, guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, there was a question at the top of the show that I wanted to answer there and then. Who has been your player of the Super Series? And for me, there's only one player that deserves that mantle. There's only one player. That is a man who made the semi-final today, who produced some utterly unbelievable stuff throughout the week. The Thorn, Robert Thornton. He has been sensational.
I'd go with that. I think he was brilliant.
I was gutted that knocked him out today. I wanted him to be in that position where he could do so, but he's in with a shout. It depends, obviously, on what happens on the Challenge Tour and if he can get on the Challenge Tour Order of Merit. But he's in with a shout of making the World Championships. He's in with a shout of making the Players. After 1 week, after 4 days, he's in a shout of that.
I think
the only other people in contention is Dirk for winning one and winning one and making a final of another. And I've been really impressed with Richie Edhouse this week. Thought he delivered some very, very good results. Two decent runs, 2 early exits, but he has taken advantage of the absence of some of the big boys and earned some decent money.
I'll just say this quickly as well.
Was good. Edhouse decent.
That match play race, by the way, the race for the final spots on the match play rankings are going to be fun over those 4 days. Tugboat.
Wish I had a fan. Wish I had a fan.
Please. I can buy you one, mate.
Can we do disappointment of the Super Series?
Yeah.
Well, it's
do whatever you want.
Isn't it?
Well, a couple of notable mentions actually for good performers or players that are playing pretty well. Scott Mitchell, by the way, has been superb since he's picked up his tour card. I thought he's been very, very consistent, very, very difficult to beat. Someone that had a very, very poor week, considering all the effort it took for him to get there.
Yeah,
I know where you're going with this.
We made this comment on day one of the Super Series live stream that it would be most unfortunate if he'd gone through all that effort to get there and not win a first round game. Failed 3 out of 4 times to win a first round game. Devon Peterson. That game is... It was only day 3 where he's picked up 2 wins, averaging 85 and 92, and then he's been brushed aside by Scott Mitchell. Other than that, 3 first-round exits for the African Warrior, Christoph Kachuk, Benito van der Pas, and Nick Kenny. That was a lot of effort for a week that has just not gone to plan. He's made a loss.
So there's another name you just said there that I think had a very good Super Series was Big Ben.
Yeah, he played
considering he came in as a reserve, I think he picked up some great results along the way.
Look what he did for
I'll tell you what, Ian White had
another
lost
to Ross Smith.
Series, didn't he? Ian White had a
lot of trouble, James.
He was awful. Joe asks, will Glenn Durant win another major? Well, he's not won one yet, has he? Hashtag what's a major? In all seriousness, will Gazza win another TV title? I'm gonna say yes. Would it be one of the big ones? I don't know.
I think because his throw is so mechanical and regimental, he can sort the problems out. Where when you're Adrian Lewis and your throw used to be so instinctive and then you try to make it mechanical, it doesn't work. And that's what's causing all sorts of issues now. Where Duzza's throw is and always has been mechanical, I think the technical issues he can get sorted.
Is that the same with Ian White, though? Because he's got quite a mechanical throw.
Yeah. My only thing I don't like about the Ian White throw, and God, obviously you play as well, is when it's there, it's fine. But it's the fact that the fingers move into place, don't they? They almost like close round it as it comes back.
To be honest, my action is similar without the high elbow that he starts with, and I've struggled the last few weeks. When it's on, I've been playing very well, but when it's off, I played a best of 3 sets before we came on the air earlier, and had a 76 first 9 average and a 59 overall. I lost a leg in 40 darts earlier. I was on a finish after 15. It's just not there.
All I'll say is, Barzi, is also another person who had a shocker of a Super Series, Jeff Smith. And he's got to go home and quarantine at the cost of $2,500. He ain't made that this week. He's had a shocker.
Yeah, you say that, but he's still got upper place in the world rankings into the top 64 for the first time.
Fair enough.
I like Jeff Smith. I think he's a fantastic competitor.
There's a difference there. It's not that I don't like him. I just think that he's just not had a great week.
Yeah, I think he's gone up.
Hang on, 1 minute. Well, there's another good question as well. Lee asks about playing this week. Where was it? Where's the question, Lee? Who do you think it will have the biggest impact on in regards to qualifying for Blackpool by not playing in these 4 days? Well, it wasn't his fault because he tried to get there and he couldn't. But the biggest impact is Callum Ridds. Because at the moment, look, 22.5 grand, I still think you'll need a little bit more dollar than that. You may just need a little bit more dollar than that. And having that pressure of only having to win maybe 2-3 games is not too bad. But that, I think, might be a little bit of a problem, if you want me to be brutally honest. I just don't know.
Yeah, I think everyone else are all there or thereabouts. Is the
I think Vincent van der Voort is the only one that I think is okay. Vincent van der Voort onwards, I think you're all right at 23.5. You may just need an extra maybe an extra grand on your ranking from there, potentially.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. What else do we have? Andrew says, when we're allowed to play indoor pubs, are you all going to play for a pub team? Yeah, I've always signed on and played. I'm not always here to play because we're obviously darts and PDC stuff's always at a weekend. But yeah, no, I do. When I'm home, I do play.
Yeah, I
Rasmus
manage my team.
I mean, I don't play the game. That's why I talk about it. Those who can't play, talk.
Yeah.
What about if you're no good at talking about it?
Well, that's you.
You just sit here and try and look pretty.
Yeah, as I say, that's why you play. That's why you play it, isn't it?
Pretty much. Those who can't do, teach and all that.
Yeah. Owen, will AD Lewis qualify for the 2022 World Championships? Well, do you know, I used to think that was... I used to laugh at that question if you told me that before. But AD Lewis now, right? I'm just scrolling down. He's 2.5 grand at AD Lewis. Robert Thornton's at 6.5 in that thing there. And like, if he doesn't get a chance to play in another Pro Tour event, then fair enough. But AD Lewis has got to make basically 3 grand up. I'm not as confident anymore as I used to be.
I don't like the fact that he's defending 111 grand this year.
He's made a quarter final.
I don't think he likes the fact he's defending 111 grand.
No. How does he got to defend? What was it? Is it the Worlds?
Let's have a look. 2009.
But on the same hand, on the race to the World's graphic, he is only 4 grand off in the overall order of merit, not the Pro Tour order of merit. 4.5 grand behind Jermaine Watamaina and Kim Hybrex as it stands. So he still might get in there by the top 32.
And
but
the thing is,
you
as
have
well,
to be wary of the fact that Damon Hetter is just behind him, Ryan Joyce, Luke Woodhouse, Ross Smith, Max Hopp, Jamie Hughes is above him, Ricky Evans is above him. Ricky Evans had a bad Super Series, by the way. Chris Dobie is above him.
Labanauskas had an absolute shocker, didn't he?
Yeah.
Laban Rasma had an absolute western of a Super Series.
So he's defended.
I think the Slam quarter final, if memory serves me correctly.
35k at the Worlds.
So 3rd round at the Worlds.
5 grand at the Players' Championships. 6 grand at the Europeans.
I think the advantage for Lewis is he's not defending masses from any one event that's just going to drop off immediately. The
it's accumulation.
He then has to qualify for all these events to keep them on there.
Yeah.
And at the minute, he's just not qualifying for them.
Yeah, so it's accumulation.
He's not going to defend a World Match Play semi-final because he lost first round at Daza. And yeah, AD Lewis made a 4th round. He played Mangero in that year.
Yeah.
Jonathan asks again, what would be the dream match play final at the moment? So are we going with all the players that have qualified? Oh, the dream match play final from the 16.
What, dream if they're all dream if everyone at the match play turns up and is playing well.
Yes.
That's easy.
Gary Van Gogh.
It's still the best game in darts if they're both playing well. MVG and Van Gogh all day long.
But
that's the same player. Barzi, you just said MVG and Van Gogh. Do you mean MVG and Gary Anderson?
MVG and Gary Anderson, yeah. Sorry, yeah. It's still the best game. It's the best game in darts still when they're playing well.
Sorry. Are we just forgetting about Gary and Price?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when they're both playing well, Gary Anderson and Michael Van Gogh is the El Clasico of darts.
Gary and Price against MVG, and it's not even close.
Oh, it is. Anderson at his best. Anderson at his best is better than Price at his best, in my opinion.
You're wrong.
And
well,
no,
you're entitled to your wrong opinion. Yeah, you're entitled to your wrong opinion, but
no, it's not even close.
Gary Price nowadays is better. Gary Price's A game nowadays is better than Gary Anderson's A game. Just a fact.
Prime Anderson blows Prime Price out.
Prime Anderson.
Prime Gary Anderson is Prime Gary Anderson is in the conversation for top 5 players of all time. Going Price takes that conversation and top 5 Welsh players of all time.
I asked this before we said, are we saying that they're all playing at their best? And the answer was yes. Yeah, so that's why I said it was easy.
Yes, okay, so what is Anderson's best then right now? Anderson's best right now, we haven't seen him have his best in probably since 2018. Since he won the match, since he had that incredible year where he was the best player on Planet Darts in 2018, and there was no questioning that.
We haven't seen Van Gogh his best, really, but you're still going to put him in that final, Jar.
Probably what? Price. Probably, to be fair, actually, I think we're doing the Ferret a massive disservice.
On current form, I agree, but it was like if they're all playing at their best, you'd want to see MVG against Gary Anderson over, was it best of 35 or whatever it is?
Yeah, it is. That's got the chat room going. Right. Kieran asks, can Chris Davey be a Premier League player in the future? Yeah, he can. He's already been one, to be 100%. Fair. 100%. He's already been one. But
I think Dobie's at an interesting point of his career now. In that he was very, very close to taking the next step and pushing on to be a top 16 player. Hasn't materialised, is still in the conversation to be one of the next big players, but then is having weekends and results not go his way. His Pro Tour form for the last year or so has not been great. Am I right in thinking today he lost 6-4, but through 9 180s and 10 legs?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
He's had some absolute inkers of draws, to be fair.
Dobie has the best walk on the song. Martin, do not start. Barzi will be getting WhatsApps all over the place.
Ping, 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 ping.
Oh, God.
There was another one that says, do you think the Riley's qualifiers will come back for the UK Open? I think there will be... wait a minute, hold your horses. Will there be Riley's qualifiers? I don't know.
Yes.
Will there be amateur qualifiers in some format? Yes. I'm not sure Riley's are coming back. When you look across the country...
After speaking to Riley's earlier this week, as I have, they are still intending to be involved with the UK Open in February next year.
If they've got no venues because they're selling them all off, where are they going to play? And the Dog and Duck?
They're selling some off, especially some that are traditionally held the darts events. But I know that the year that got cancelled, they were moving away from some of their more traditional venues to some of their newer or better condition venues. Wolverhampton traditionally holds 2 events. That was struggling to get one this year. just gone.
I'm not sure financially they'll be able to do it, but will there be amateur qualifiers? Yes. It may be down the dog and duck.
Yeah. Jeff talks about the final on current form. Current form. On current form, I'd probably have Jose de Sousa against Dimitri van den Bergh, because you're gonna get 180s in that game. You're gonna get loads of 180s. You're gonna get some big checkouts, some hilarious miss scoring eventually that's going to cost him the win, and Dimmy will be world match play champion again, which would be lovely.
I'd have James Wade against Joe Cullen.
Hey?
Current form, James Wade against Joe Cullen.
We haven't seen Cullen.
In this Super Series, in the previous Super Series we did, and he played very, very well.
Yeah.
He also lost to Michael Smith at the UK Open. In a great game, don't think I'll concede. But he lost to Michael Smith in round 4 of the UK Open.
Yeah. Because Michael Smith's a Premier League player, so, you know.
Ah, for fuck's sake.
Straight into that.
The key to good comedy is full circle.
Raven Effect says, I want Cullen for the Premier League. Absolutely.
Yeah, look,
So
he's Cullen class, absolutely. But he just needs us to win a big one. Price against Jose, says Jonathan. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, but
you get a load of 180 in that.
If you go off recent form, we haven't seen Price since the UK Open.
I agree with you.
And his form wasn't great.
Still made a semi-final.
Yeah, but it was a struggle. Didn't play well to get there.
You still made a semi-final. He still defended what he was
the
on.
last 2 matches at the Worlds, I don't think he played well.
Juanita, who will win their first major this year?
Joe Cullen.
No one. No one.
No, I agree with God. I don't think anyone will. If you're going on the basis of who will be most likely to win their first major, I'd probably say I was going to say the Heat, but we haven't really seen much of him.
Joe Cullen will win the European Championships.
Can I have that bet?
Cullen is the most likely for me at the minute to be the next televised major winner.
To be fair, we're missing a big one at the moment. I've just thought about it. Dirk. Dirk's more likely than anybody else at the moment.
I don't know. I think we've seen Joe Cullen turn a corner now. That World's monkey is off his back. He's winning consistently on the floor. All right, lost 4th round to Michael Smith, as you said, at the UK Open in a very, very good game. But he's going to get over the line in those games more often than not now, in my opinion. I think Cullen is the next.
But right, this is the thing with Cullen, right? I'm really trying hard not to be disrespectful here, but this is the thing. The World Championships run when he lost to MVG in the 4th round is the exception to the rule. Let me go through his 2020 because I remember vividly. His 2020 was just not great. Where is it? Right. Second round of the Masters this year, 4th round of the UK Open, 4th round of the PDC World Championships last year. 1st round of the Masters, 5th round of the UK Open, 2nd round of the World Championship, quarterfinals of the Grand Prix, 1st round of the Euros, didn't get out the Grand Slam. Group had a chance to do so and didn't. And Adam Hunt got out instead of him and made the quarters the players. There's nothing there. There's no final. There's no semi-final. And that's my worry.
No, there's not. He's gone on to win more. He picked up his first European tour that year, finished as number 1 on that, and being number 1 seed blew him up. He's gone on to win multiple Pro Tours since. He has turned a corner, mate.
Yeah, but Ian White has picked up numerous Euro Tour titles and Pro Tour titles. He's coming.
Ian White's never turned a corner. He had one run in Minehead. That's it.
Yeah, but
you just listed two
Cullen's not had a
quarterfinals
run
of
on
fifth
telly.
round.
Cullen's not had a run on telly.
You just listed two quarterfinals in a fifth round.
Wow, a quarterfinal. Christ.
Yeah, but
Ian White
Jar,
made quarterfinals for years.
If you're talking about that sense, then Johnny Clayton last year in singles events only until he won it, third round at the Worlds, quarterfinal at the Masters, semi-final at the UK Open's good, but as you said, it's not a final. First round of the match play, second round of the Grand Prix, second semi-final of the European Championships, second round of the Slam, second round of the Players' Championships. There's nothing in that run to suggest he was going to go and win the Masters. Going on what your form said there.
You've just mentioned two semi-finals.
But you said there's quarterfinals in Cullen, and you said it doesn't matter because it's not a final. Semi-finals, finals.
It's not a final or it's not a final or a semi-final. It's not a final or a semi-final. There's no last four. And he'd gone and won a World Cup when he'd done bits as well. He'd already won one. He'd already won a TV event
only.
Okay, but he's still
he was very, very good at the World Cup, and we cannot deny that. But that was his turning point. Cullen's turning point was getting the monkey off his back in having a run,
at the Worlds.
Not a massively deep run, not a winning run, but a run at the World Championship. He's picking up titles.
The World Championship ain't a bloody run.
It is for him.
At the Worlds, that is
it's the same as winning a game at the match play is a run for Kim Huybrechts. If you're Kim Huybrechts, winning a leg at the match play is a run because the record there is atrocious.
I'll give you that, fair enough. But look, let me just
getting these monkeys off your back and turning these atrocious records round. It was number one seed for the European Championships, Jar.
Because you cannot say about number one seed for European Championships when there were 4 bloody events in it. It's not like the 13 like there was last time.
Yeah, but he still won one of those events as well.
I still think he would have been number one. It was unbelievable on the Euro Tour. Unbelievable on the Euro Tour.
Who's the next person to go and win a major? No.
No, but how often did Cullen make the final day of a Euro Tour before he got over the line? And then he gets over the line. He's turning the corner, mate. Trust me.
Final or a final of a TV event. Yeah.
Yet, you just said it there. Yet he will, and he
Dirk
will.
van Duijvenbode has made a final. Dirk van Duijvenbode made a final of a World Grand Prix and made a quarter final of a World Championship. He's gone further than him.
Mervyn King's made 8, mate, but I've still got Cullen ahead of him to win a title.
Terry Jenkins got to 9 finals, didn't win one.
No, I agree with that. But also as well, you look at Luke Humphries. Humphries made the last televised final. We haven't even mentioned him. So why the hell are we saying Cullen? Well, the only time he's been to a semi-final of an event is the 2018 European Championship. It's the only semi-final he's had ever.
Because he's won Euro Tours and Pro Tours.
And I mean this in the nicest way. You're looking at it from a pure media point of view. What you're saying here, you can tell you've never played because monkeys on backs in darts is huge, and it genuinely is. Get to the forefront of the world would have meant almost as good as winning it to Joe Cullen, because every interview in the build-up to it, he was fully aware that his world record was horrendous.
Okay, but this is where I'm not. I must caveat this by saying I am not suggesting that Joe Cullen cannot go and win a TV title. He is more than capable. But do I think he's the most likely to go and break his duck this year? No. I think you're putting too much on him at the moment when we haven't seen him deliver in massive TV events. When you've had Dirk who's reached a final, you've got Humphries that's reached a final. Obviously, Clayton's broken the Masters. Whether you class that as a major is up to you. But he's won a TV title. I just think that we're not. You can't put.
Look, I think that the conversation is between Cullen and Dirk, and like you said, the fans are going to be back soon as well, and that will play a big difference in it. Cullen has won on the Euro Tour. That is played in front of raucous crowds.
Devin Peterson's done that.
Dirk does not have a B game. Dirk doesn't have a B game. Ian White doesn't have a televised game, and Devon Peterson's got a wrist injury from a year ago.
Dirk van Duijvenbode won the day today with his B game. Won his A game, not by any stretch. His A game, he's pumping in 180s for fun.
You mean yesterday? He didn't win today. He played better today in patches, or his averages would suggest that.
Okay, so he's one leg away from going back to back. Be the first player to do that since Smith in November.
Yeah, but that wasn't with his B game. If you watch his games, it was with his A game for 6 legs and dropping off for a couple. That's not winning with your B game. That's your A game getting you out of trouble when you need it.
You've made another flaw there. Cullen went back to back.
Cullen didn't go well. I don't know if you can call that with back to back. Because he won one. He won.
Did he win 2 consecutive Pro Tours?
So did he win 2 consecutive Pro Tours? Yes or no?
Did he win 2 consecutive Pro Tours?
No, he didn't really. Because it was an end of 1 year and start of the other. So it's end of 1 year, so it don't technically matter. He didn't do it.
If Man United win their last game of the season at home and then the following season win their opening game of the season, are they unbeaten in 2 Premier League games?
No, they're not. They're unbeaten in 1 because it's a new season, God. You know that. I love this, by the way. Owen says as well, I'm glad you guys are on a video call. All hell will be breaking loose right now if you were in a studio. Yeah, to be fair, if we were in a studio right now, with how tired we've been after the last 4 days.
This is why we do it. This is why we do it raw. Yeah. Where other channels do sense stuff, we're not. We're always going to give our what we believe. We're not saying it's right, but it's genuine. What we believe is our honest opinions. Is the thing, and that's why I hope you guys like it so much, because we do just we feel it, we live and we breathe it.
I love it. By the way, I'm getting a lot of questions in the chat room. Lovely.
Back to some questions.
Yes. Where are we? Hang on a minute. There's a couple of questions. Oh, yeah. Talking about Cullen. Did Cullen not miss a trick against Anderson when he lost in that thriller? Well, not really. It was a good game. It was just a great game of darts, and Anderson came off the top of this.
Yeah.
I could have watched empty games for hours and hours.
The 49 games from Arsenal avoid because Jarleth Eaton said so. Yeah, completely agree. They only were unbeaten for 38 games. That was it. They went into the season unbeaten.
Oh, I'll tell you what. That run, I've got a huge issue with that run. In one of the early games, Robert Perez dives like an absolute bitch against
horrendous dive. Is it against Pompey?
Yeah. Point.
Grim.
And there was literally no one near him. Oh, I still remember that well to this day.
But the best thing about it was the fact
that is why the Premier League and football is in the state it is. Robert Perez sneaking that into the English game, and do you know when the Champions League, like 2006-07, that started appearing in the game a lot more from the continent. I'm going to be honest, it wasn't in the English game. It was brought into the English game from imports and players that had got away with it with softer refereeing, and now it's here to stay. Football is dead. Let's move on.
Call it how you see it, Gob. Call it how you see it, mate.
That's before I start slagging off VAR and everything else.
Here's a question. James says, if MVG doesn't win this year's Worlds, will he ever be number 1 again? I don't think so. Well, of course he can be. Because it all depends on who wins the Worlds that year, in my opinion.
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
It's all on... If he doesn't win this year, can he still be number 1? Yeah, I think he can.
I agree with you.
Yes.
Good one here. It says,
at this moment, Michael Van Gerwen is far more likely to end up like Adrian Lewis now than Phill Taylor.
Excuse me?
The evidence is, once you're in a slide, it is virtually impossible to stop in darts.
Yeah, but come on now. Come on, seriously. You're saying that he's going to end up like AD?
No, I'm saying he's more likely to go on a slide and struggle to recover and start dropping out of rankings than he is to go back to number one, dominate and untouchable. Once you hit that slide, it is incredibly difficult to stop. I was talking about this last week when they were asking Mark Webster how to stop it. Mark Webster doesn't know how to stop it. It happened to Mark Webster. It happened to Paul Nicholson. It happened to other players at the top of their game. Kim Huybrechts, Jelle Klassen. All right, none of them have the innate ability that Michael van Gerwen does. But once that slide happens, if you don't stop it straight away and you let it consume your game and your day-to-day and your practice regime and the way that you approach games and go about it and your mentality changes to get back to being that absolute top level is incredibly difficult. I don't think the likes of Daryl Gurney will get back to top 4 level. Simon Whitlock. Mervyn King's been top 4 in the world before. And all right, some of these players are now aging. But at the same time, they've been there and done that. They've won big titles, and it's incredibly difficult to stop that slide. Rob Cross is more likely to end up like Adrian Lewis now than he is to win another world title.
I disagree, but I think that MVG can easily still be at the top of his game. If the thing is, you look at it now, okay, you look at the back end of this year, he's got a fair bit to defend. But off the back of that, next year, he ain't got jack shit to defend. He's got a UK Open win, and that's it. He can then climb those rankings again next year. Okay, like I say, he's got a Grand Prix to defend. He's got a Players' Champs finals to defend. He hasn't got a Grand Slam because that was beaten by Price. Got a Euro? No, he doesn't because Ross Smith beat him. But he's got a Grand Prix and a Grand Prix win, a Players' Championship win, and a World's final and a semi-final to defend. Off the back of that, though, apart from a UK Open and a Players' Championship, he's done bugger all. So he can climb up that sense. So yeah. I think I still think he can get back to that level personally.
Wes Newton's been named as well, and Andy Hamilton as well. 2 more players. Andy Hamilton was in the last 4 of virtually every TV event for about 18 months. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing Andy Hamilton's name somewhere.
Lee asked, talking of Cullen, and I think this is probably directed at me. How big was it that? Where's the question? Talking to Cullen, how big an achievement was it that Kirk Shepherd and Mark Durbridge made a world final? Look, if it's your time, it's your time. If you have a run, you go for a run. You look at the like of Nathan Aspinall at the time, back in 19, I'll be honest with you, I barely heard of him. Knew he'd won an event, obviously, in 18. Knew he'd won the Players' Champs, but other than that, I barely heard of him. And all of a sudden, he goes on a run like he did. He did the draw open up for him? Absolutely, it did. You look at Lewis. Lewis making a semi. Jamie Lewis. No one knew him before he had an absolute, again, he had a great run. Just what happens. So to make a world final is a ridiculous achievement. Owen, do you know what, Owen? You helped me out with the with a comment on the 85, and now you're doing this. This is excellent.
Couple of questions here as well. Was one I'll save for a minute, but Tommy says, any idea what Gando's new business venture is? Yes, but it's not for us to say. He will when he wants to. The other one as well.
Or you put it in the Facebook group.
Was, do you think there will be a Ladies World Championship again? Within the PDC, no. Within other organisations, yes.
Yeah.
Fair one?
Yes. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Stephen asks, will Luke Humphries win a senior PDC event? Yes, before Joe Cullen.
Yes. Yeah, he will at some point.
Put it away, lad. Yeah, no, his stage. He's another whose stage game is absolutely unreal. Floor game needs to catch up a little bit. Nearly got there with that final opening day, but Jose was unplayable. You can't blame Luke for losing that. There aren't many players that would have got close to him at all, even with their top level game. Ridiculous. Comes alive on stage, world youth champion, first challenger to win in the Premier League. Yeah, he's got the game.
Jack asks, which one of these three will win the world title first? If you think you're going to do it, Jose de Sousa, Dimitri van Bergh, or Nathan Aspinall? Oh, for me,
Dimitri.
Yeah, for me, Dimmy.
Yeah. If Jose was 10 years younger, then I might have gone with him. But again, because we haven't seen this over a sustained period as well, he's also liable to a drop. Dimitri, we've seen from an early age perform at this level. Aspinall has gone up. We saw him struggle earlier this year. He's still about, loves being that underdog. And if he gets an entire tournament where he's second favourite, then God knows what the man can do. But yeah, I think Dimitri's got that one.
Lee,
Joe's.
Yeah, Lee, I know. Lee, just to say really quickly, Lee, I know you don't mean it's big, mate. It's no big deal. And I appreciate that Shepherd at Dudbridge pretty much did disappear. You're right. But I just think personally that it is what it is. I think that it's such a difficult tournament to make the final in. It just really is. So,
good one from Boyce here.
So,
do you think a non-tour card holder can make enough money in the next 12 months to get a top 64 place, so they basically get their tour card, seeing what we've seen in the Super Series?
If the Thorn's there, then yes. He's probably the only one that I can think of who can make it in a non-tour card.
The RJRs, maybe.
I'd say Rowby John might.
Yeah, look, if you can get yourself into the Players' Championships, a Grand Prix in the World as a non-tour card holder, you've got a shout.
Don't disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the year to date at the moment, or the tour card race at the moment. You've got to get, at the moment, Hammer's on 29 grand at the moment, but you've really got to be in the championship.
You need about 40,
you've got to be in the world. You've got to be in the world. You have to be in the world.
You need about 40 grand. So.
Yeah. So I think that you're looking at maybe RJR, maybe, potentially. I think.
Right, last few then, guys, because we've waffled for 2 hours.
One more. We have them for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I think we've got one more. Let's have a look. Right. Where is it? I'll tell you what, we'll end it on a question about an Irishman. Steve Lennon. Where do we think his career is at the moment? That was a question that I just saw. We'll end it on Lennon. Why not? Because remember, remember we made the World Cup final with Woody O'Connor, and we thought, I mean, the Magpie at the time was doing bits, but potentially, Steve Lennon's just starting to creep back into contention again. I like the look of him. But Lennon,
I think his career's on the way up again.
I'd say he's 500 quid off Blackpool. This is what I was going to say. He's 500 quid off Blackpool, and he's in the final spot for the Grand Prix. He gets that, he could be in with a shout of really making some money.
Yeah, I think his career's on the way back up.
He's solid. Don't get me wrong. He is a very, very solid player, but he's another one who needs a B game. He's exceptional when his A game gets going. We've seen him throw 180s for fun. The first time I went to a development tour, I saw it firsthand. He was playing my friend last 32, last 16 maybe, 2 apiece, and he reels off back-to-back 15 dart legs. I'd never even heard of him at that point. Superb. He's got that in his locker, but it just doesn't appear often enough. And I think there's some scar tissue there already from big losses or names. Van Gerwen's done him in a couple of times from memory.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I nice guy as well. So.
Very good guy.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Well, everyone, it's been a long, long day with the Super Series Live and the Live Lounge here. But again, I just want to thank every single one of you for taking time to spend the day with us. Chat room has been absolutely electric. It really has. You guys from there, top work from everyone. It's going to be weird not seeing you tomorrow, but no stream. Super Series is done, but we'll be back. Premier League
It's going to be a relief, mate.
Is upon us. But all the information you need for the Premier League tomorrow will be at onlinedarts.com. And also, huge interview dropping tomorrow. And when I say huge, it's a belter. Agreed, guys?
Yeah. I call it golden, wouldn't you, Phill?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very good. But again, just want to thank you all so much. I've been Phill Bars, joined by Jack Gobby Garwood and Jarleth, and as always, on the live lounge. One more time, hit like and subscribe to the channel. Go on, Jack.
We're going to go back. We're going Monday next week. We're back Monday next week. Back normal.
We are back Monday in the normal slot. Just want to thank you all again, and we will see you Monday. Signing out for the night.